you today and to get inspired regarding the Oder River. I'm not so sure what Teresa shared already as an information, but last year we had the opportunity to organize in Greece.
Nie mamy tłumaczy angielskiego. No nie mamy tłumaczy angielskiego.
Nie było tego nagrania.
Okay, well we have, przepraszam. Rzeczywiście mamy nie wiem, czy jesteśmy w stanie po angielsku albo przetłumaczyć teraz na polski. Konsekwentnie. Ponieważ rzeczywiście mieliśmy nagranie, jeśli dostarczyć tłumaczom, ale nie doszło do nas. To nagranie to nie jest w stanie przetłumaczyć tego.
Odpocząć tłumaczom, niech po angielsku puści, no wielu ludzi zrozumie.
Czy Państwo są w stanie wysłuchać
Nie wszyscy.
po angielsku? Nie wszyscy. Dobrze.
No co to razem tłumaczcie?
Proszę?
Nie na symultaniczne tłumaczenie nie jest.
Nie.
Może po prostu zrobić tak, że
Momencik.
potem oczywiście ta prezentacja będzie dostępna na YouTubie i dorobimy do tego tłumaczenia. Tak, to jest dobre rozwiązanie.
Dobrze, no nie...
To nie jest idealne rozwiązanie.
Nie jest idealne, ale chyba po prostu poprosimy też, żeby było powoli po angielsku, by to nagranie udostępnimy i przetłumaczymy na because they didn't receive this, this recording.
So you can start.
Okay. Now it's a change. In English.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the only international language that I can speak. Yeah, not in it's not going to be in Greek. Definitely, maybe some things will be sound like Greek. Yeah. Slow, perfect. Okay. Last year we organized in Greece the first Transboundary River Forum, and Teresa was invited to present all the beautiful work that has been done on a transboundary river of Oder, and it was very nice to reflect and to learn through your experience. And now I'm going to try to share some information regarding the work that we have been doing on our transboundary river ecosystem, which is Aoos Vjosa. For the ones that they don't know, Aoos is a transboundary river starting from Greece and outflowing in Albania. And it's a nice opportunity to share with you that, unfortunately, the last few weeks, we have important protests in the delta of Vjosa, Narta Lagoon, and it's a nice way to express also our solidarity with the people and the environmental organizations working on this river. Aoos has a total length of approximately 270 kilometers, and the first 70 kilometers are in the Greek part. And we have been working for quite some time now, also with international colleagues like Euronatur, Riverwatch, and Eco Albania, to try to establish a transboundary wild river national park between Greece and Albania. So I think it's quite relatable with what you have been doing already for some decades on Oder. But regarding the Greek part of Aoos, Aoos has two major tributaries. One is called Voidomatis, and it's one of the most unique river ecosystems that we have in our country, with a beautiful gorge, namely Vikos Gorge. While the second major tributary, it's called Sarantaporos, and if I can translate the Greek name to English, it's like the river with the 40 springs, and you will see later on how the hydrographic network looks like. but on the same time you can have a nice view of the floodplains that this river has. No other river in Greece has such a similar environment like Sarantaporos. On the same time, Sarantaporos has been characterized as the less disturbed river that we have in our country. But both of these are tributaries, of course, to Aoos. And Aoos, it's one really unique and important ecosystem, and of course, what we call in Greece and abroad as a biodiversity hotspot for a lot of different animal and plant species. So, plant and animal species, but of course also for fish species. And we have more than 12 different freshwater species recording on Aoos, but an important parameter of the work is that at least 5 of them can be found in Greece exclusively in this river ecosystem. So it's a top priority for the conservation of the species on a national level to take care of the system. This is Sarantaporos, and here you can see what I was describing before, that we have more than 14 different springs within the river basin. There are 14 different sub-basins within Sarantaporos, and we have a very enormous elevation gradient. It's quite mountainous river. We start from 400 meters and we go up to 2,500 meters of elevation, so quite unique. Our project regarding the mapping of the barriers had some important objectives. The first of all was to map all the barriers, of course, across the main river course and its tributaries, to try to create a comprehensive database that is going to be easily accessible by anyone, to create a task force comprising of engineers, hydrologists, and lawyers that we will assess all the barriers in the river basin. Based on this information, to try to include also the local people and to try to understand which are the obsolete barriers that can be found within the basin of Sarantaporos, and of course to disseminate all this knowledge on a national, regional and local level, taking into consideration that one of the most important aspects of the nature restoration regulations is inventories of barriers on a basin level, and of course prioritize some of them for their removal, which is a nice timing, taking into consideration that we are currently working for the upcoming Greek National Restoration Plan. How we did this? Pretty easily. We created a simple field protocol where we had the information regarding the location, but also regarding the different types of barriers. It can be a culvert, it can be a fold, it can be a sluice gate, or it can be a wire. The measurements on the field regarding the characteristics of the barrier, but taking into consideration important aspects as, for example, is it working or if it's completely obsolete, and of course some pictures. And how we did this? We created a team of 3 different people, all of them experienced in mountaineering, and for 50 days our team was all on the field trying to collect and to go along the whole hydrographical network of Sarantaporos. I mean, quite demanding work. And as you will see on this video, it was truly demanding work because, as we said already, it's a quite wild river ecosystem with very steep inclination across the whole basin. What was quite important, though, is that more than 240 barriers were recorded across the whole hydrographic network of Sarantaporos, but 168 of them, they were in the understudied hydrographic network. Most of them, they were, as you can see on the picture, in the category of wires, but we had, of course, another category that it was quite high, culverts, followed by bridges and fords, and other categories where we had the infrastructures that it was not be possible to classify in one of the above-mentioned categories, and of course, small hydropower plants that are a crucial threat on our ecosystem. Here you can also see which basins are the top in terms of lake presence of barriers across the whole basin, while taking into consideration the size of its catchment. And this is an important parameter of the work that we found that approximately 20% of the barriers are not serving any important purpose. They can be characterized as obsolete. And most importantly, you can see there, if it is working, on the wire category, that approximately the majority of the wires that can be found in Sarantaporos network fall within the category to be removed. So they can be prioritized towards their removal and towards the national goal for free-flowing rivers. How do they look like? This is a characteristic case of a small hydropower plant that we have on Sarantaporos. Unfortunately, this is an important parameter because it undermines the goal of the nature restoration law. We have more than 32 different small hydropower plants in different licensing stages within this important ecosystem of the Aoos, Sarantaporos and Voidomatis complex. But it's important to see not only the small hydro, that is the current threat, but how an old obsolete barrier looks on the ground. And in this particular case, it's an obsolete barrier, maybe the first unofficial dam removal project that we had in Greece, because the investor that created the small hydro broke the barrier towards to have more outflow from the river and to operate, let's say, the small hydro. An important parameter, though, of the work was not only to document the obsolete barriers across the basin, but on the same trying to find a way to prioritize the ones that can be removed. And we created a simple methodology to do so. First of all, we took into consideration the barrier condition, the working status, the barrier density that we had within each tributary and each stream of our study area, the Strahler category that the barrier was recorded. When you had higher Strahler categories, that means that you have more diversity and more important species within your network, the barrier type, and of course the distance to the other barrier. So how many kilometers of flow you're going to release if you go actually for the removal of the barrier. And based with this methodology, it was possible for us to try to identify the most important cases for removal. And here you can see where exactly are the ones that we have been prioritizing for their removal across Sarantaporos basin. And how do they look? This is the barrier that took the best out of all in the scoring, and this is the one that I have been focusing now to try to push national agencies to continue with their removal and to have the first dam removal project in Greece. So an important aspect was not only to map and to find the barriers and to try to prioritize the ones that they are important for the removal, but also to understand the river fragmentation that we have in one of the most pristine rivers of the country and one major tributary of Aoos, Vjosa, that has been characterized as a free-flowing river. I'm not going to go so much into the text here, but the important thing to consider is that, first of all, along the Sarantaporos River on its main course, we don't have any important barriers. But unfortunately, what we see is this map that 57% of the network is connected at the moment, but we have a large majority of small tributaries that unfortunately are disconnected from the original network due to the barriers that we have recorded that are present on the site area. All this information has been included in our portal, mapstream.medina.org/en, the English version of our website, and all the methodology that you saw there has been also been included. We try to disseminate all this work in, as I said, to national and regional level, and one of the most important aspects of this work is that, fortunately, it managed to go to the ears of members of the parliament, and this is us. Just a month ago, with a member of the parliament in the Greek parliament, while we did the kick-off of the project to study all the barriers that have been prioritized by our methodology to be studied for their removal, and hopefully within the next 10 to 15 months we're going to have some news regarding the first dam removal project in Greece. So that's all. Thank you very much, and yeah, if you have any questions, please be my guest.
Vielen Dank, Fanikos. Ich
werde jetzt ganz kurz versuchen, das
Możemy spróbować podsumować.
vielleicht doch noch mal der ein oder andere Abschnitt
Może któryś z tych odcinków można przetłumaczyć na język odpowiedni. To był jedna część w ramach tego MEPSTIP projektu. Chodzi o stwierdzenie tych barier na tej rzece i chodziło o zidentyfikowanie tych barier, o ich stworzenie priorytetów, które bariery miały być usunięte. I przy tej inwentaryzacji stwierdzono, że 20% jazów jest zbędnych, nieużywanych już i że jest to baza dla pierwszego usuwania barier w Grecji i mamy nadzieję, że to tak będzie, bo są pierwsze rozmowy na ten temat w parlamencie, już się odbyły, pierwsze rozmowy w parlamencie greckim i chętnie byśmy tutaj przejęli różne pytania od uczestników. Spróbujemy przetłumaczyć te pytania na język angielski i z powrotem. Czy ktoś ma pytania?
Ryszard Majewicz, czy zasięgali Państwo informacji u administratora rzeki? Jakie jest jego stanowisko do rozbiórek tych obiektów? Dziękuję.
Doprecyzuję do administratora, czy Wody Polskie?
Na przykład u nas Wodopolskie, tak.
Jest
No bo ktoś zarządza tą rzeką, tak?
Jaki
jest stosunek do państwa do stosunku administratora rzeki, tak? No bo on za to odpowiada.
Do tego
tak.
wyznaczania.
No, musi dostać pozwolenie i tak dalej, nie? Formalność.
Okej.
Dziękuję.
I can try to translate. The question is if you reached also the opinion of the management institution for the river, and what's if so, what's the standpoint of the river manager to propose dam removal?
Yes, we have been working quite closely with them in this regard. I mean, it's they can avoid it, you know. I mean, we have the nature restoration regulation; it's here, and it has to be implemented. And fortunately or unfortunately, we have some obsolete barriers within the basin. The important parameter of the latest news that we have is that they are part of the committee, and they fund at the moment everything that we have been doing with the universities from the National Technical University of Athens. They are part of the consortium, and they are going to have also, they are saying during the stage that we are currently, they're going to contribute and they're going to have also their opinion. So if something is aligned with their prioritization, of course it's going to be easier for the whole consortium to move further. But if there are major objections from their side, of course, this is going to change the way that we're going to navigate in the process.
No tak, odpowiedź była taka, że oczywiście współpracowali bardzo ściśle z instytucjami zarządzającymi rzekę, że nie można tego uniknąć i że oni byli też jakby częścią tego konsorcjum, które w zasadzie doszło do tych wyników, że oczywiście ta dyskusja będzie się toczyć dalej. Jeżeli będą jakieś znaczące obiekcje ze strony tych instytucji, to oczywiście może to całkowicie zmienić te wyniki.
Dziękuję.
Profesor, tak.
Thank you for spectacular presentation. Question, the side question first. You didn't use the barrier tracker because you had no access to the internet, right? Or to the...
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, but the protocol is based on the barrier atlas.
Yeah. And did you, when you were doing your prioritization, you did not consider anything downstream, so connectivity downstream. This was...
We did.
You did?
Yes.
So that's what I...
Unfortunately,
you cannot, yeah.
Yes, I don't have the presentation now in front.
Because there was a found near. I don't know what was found near.
Found near. How many barriers you have in 500 meters, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers within the same river?
And the downstream connectivity was also in this formula?
It was, fortunately, as I said, Sarantaporos, it's free on its full length, so we assessed this on its tributary, and this has been included in the prioritization of how many you have across the whole stretch of the river.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They will show the slides. I don't know if you
yes.
want to show it. Yes?
I think it's here.
Here.
This one. So, distance to the barrier. So you have like 2 kilometers within like 1 to 2 kilometers, 500 meters to 1 kilometer. In both directions. I think that you can see it here. So this is its point, and for each point we created different buffer zones of radius that it was equivalent to 500 meters, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and based on this we made the prioritization for this category.